This is CBN News Watch.
It is Tuesday, April 14th. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, President Donald Trump getting ready to unveil his task force on reopening the economy following a contentious briefing with many members of the media. Can you get the coronavirus more than once? And there's a new test for the virus, but is it reliable? We're going to explore those questions and more with medical reporter Lori Johnson. Israel's top opposition leader gets an extension to form a new government as the political deadlock drags on while the country tries to deal with the coronavirus outbreak. And dealing with the virus in everyday life, from how you shop safely to dealing with children's education while they're at home. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN News Watch. I want to begin this half hour with President Donald Trump preparing to unveil his new task force to deal with reopening the economy. This comes after a contentious briefing Monday where the president challenged the media's coverage of his administration's effort to deal with the coronavirus before moving on to talk about the economy. DeHerd is on the story.
The president says he wants to reopen the economy by May, but who has the authority to do it? The question pits Trump against some governors who say they have the primary constitutional responsibility to decide if it's safe to open. Trump told reporters at a White House briefing Monday, no, he has total authority to decide.
Well, I have the ultimate authority.
But the director of the CDC says that for that to happen, the first step is widespread testing, something that is not yet available.
We're going to need to have that aggressively employed as we begin to reopen and to basically prevent the opportunity for community transmission to come back into the system.
There's evidence that indicates the economic recovery is not going to take off like a rocket, because even after the economy reopens, some workers and consumers will be too scared to return to life as it was. This is Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin announced 80 million Americans will get their stimulus payments from the government this week, a $1,200 direct deposit for most people.
If you are a Social Security beneficiary, you do not need to do anything. You will get a direct deposit.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And medical reporter Lori Johnson joins us now with more. So some reports say that people can get COVID-19 more than once. Is this true? Is it possible?
Well, we're seeing reports out of 3 countries, Efrem, and luckily we're only seeing a small number of cases, only about 100 cases total from Japan, South Korea, and China, where people tested positive for COVID-19. Then they tested negative for it, and then they tested positive again. And a lot of experts are looking into what's going on here, and there are 3 possible scenarios. A lot of people say the most likely one is human error, because the tests that were being used are the ones where you have to get the sample way up in a person's nasal cavity. You have to really jam it up there to get an adequate specimen, enough of the material. And it's often difficult to do, and that may have been the problem. But then there are some other possibilities, such as in some people, the virus may never leave. And we see this in rare cases with other viruses like shingles and also mononucleosis. And then the third possibility is that it really never went away totally to begin with. And we see this with the flu a lot, where people have the virus, and then it goes down to a very low level because they've been taking care of themselves. And then they start going back to work, they go to the gym, they stop eating right, they're not getting enough sleep, and then the virus comes back in large numbers. That might be what's happening as well.
Now, doctors are releasing some details about the patients who died. What do they all have in common?
So we've been relying on information regarding deaths and the circumstances surround deaths from China, which can or may not be reliable. We don't know for sure. And then since that time, we've seen a lot of deaths in Italy, but the doctors aren't really giving us a lot of information because they're so overwhelmed. They're not taking adequate notes and then presenting them to the rest of the world. So now, finally, we have information about deaths here in the United States provided by American doctors who are taking great notes on their patients. And what they're showing is that 98% of the people who die have comorbidities, these underlying conditions, and more than half of them have 3 underlying conditions. The most common one is obesity. And a lot of people think that's not an underlying condition, but it is. It's very harmful for your body and its ability to fight disease. Another one is type 2 diabetes. Another one is hypertension. Oftentimes we see these things going together, hypertension being high blood pressure, and then of course heart issues and lung issues. So these comorbidities are really what's causing people to have the most serious types of problems.
Going back to testing for a moment, we hear there is a new test that uses saliva rather than that nasal swab. Is this reliable?
It is. This is just FDA approved, and it's really wonderful because you don't have to jam it up there, so that's great for the patient, but also for the healthcare provider, because when you get that swab way in the back of the nasal cavity, it causes the patient to cough and sneeze, which we know is a very big danger for the healthcare providers. So with the saliva sample, you don't have to do that. It's not so much of a worry of being contaminated. We also know there's another new swab where the patient can actually do it in the front part of the nose, and both of these tests have been FDA approved, and they're going to be presented and be distributed on a wider basis. Right now, they're just in the hospitals.
All right. Now, we are here in Virginia, of course, and we understand that at least 42 people have died at a nursing home near Virginia. Why are nursing homes such a target for the virus?
Nursing homes, they're sort of the perfect storm. They're the worst area because there's kind of like a combination of a college dormitory and a hospital. A college dorm in that you have a lot of people together in a closed area, and we know that that's not a good scenario. There's a lot of people going back and forth in each other's rooms, in the dining hall and so forth. But then also like a hospital in that these people are very sick. Many of them, like we just talked about, have many comorbidities. And we really need to watch what happens here. So we need to try to keep people from going into the nursing homes, the family members, which is absolutely heartbreaking. But also we worry about new patients coming in and healthcare workers who are going from patient to patient who aren't properly protected. And so nursing homes are a real big focus moving forward.
All right, Lori Johnson, thank you so much. Much appreciated. As Americans hunker down at home, they still need to venture out to buy the foods they need. So how can they best protect themselves while grocery shopping and after you get those groceries home? Our Jennifer Wishon has some tips for you today.
If you live in a place where you can have your groceries delivered, that's a great option because it keeps you away from people who could be carrying the virus. Still, plan ahead because many delivery services are slammed. And of course, not everyone has that ability. So if, or more likely when, you head to the store,
we say go early. We also say bring in your own disinfectant wipes.
Sanitize the handle of your cart before taking off down any aisles. Stay 6 feet away from other shoppers, even if it means waiting a few seconds longer to grab your pack of toilet paper. And avoid touching your face while you shop. Experts say there's no need to wear a mask unless you're sick or caring for someone who's sick. If you decide to wear gloves, be sure to take them off without contaminating yourself. Then wash your hands for good measure. And what about bags? There's growing fear reusable bags contribute to the spread of COVID-19. Several states have already banned them. But there is some good news about the items you're putting into your cart.
Right now, we don't have any clear data that it's living on packages for a prolonged period of time.
There's no evidence yet that coronavirus is transmitted via food. So once you get your groceries home, experts recommend washing your fruits and vegetables as you normally would under warm running water. You can also use white vinegar or lemon juice. And of course, items with tougher skins like potatoes can be scrubbed with a brush. You can also take your glass and your canned goods and rinse those off under warm water as well. So once you put your groceries away, take those bags, throw them away, and be sure to wipe off your countertops with an antimicrobial disinfectant. And remember, the biggest risk when it comes to grocery shopping is exposing yourself to people who may be carrying the virus, which is why social distancing remains so important. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Coming out, the political deadlock in Israel gets an extension as opposition leader Benny Gantz still hasn't been able to form a new government, as both he and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu say one is necessary to fight the coronavirus. We're going to explain what's happening when we come back.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Efrem Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Turning now to Israel, where President Reuven Rivlin has extended the deadline for blue and white leader Benny Gantz to form a government until after the end of the Passover holiday. Rivlin gave Gantz an extra 48 hours until midnight on Wednesday to come to an agreement with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Gantz and Netanyahu have been trying to reach a deal for about a month after Rivlin gave Gantz the mandate to form a government. They met together with Rivlin and afterwards issued a joint statement saying they had made significant progress in talks to form an emergency unity government. It's not clear how long such a government would last, but it would prevent the possibility of a fourth round of elections in just a year. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is joining us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, what is the latest on the negotiations between Netanyahu and Gantz?
Well, Efrem, we're actually looking at our watches to see what's going to happen. They really, as you just said, they only have till Wednesday midnight, so they really don't have a lot of time. The end of Passover starts tonight, so what they do from now till sundown is going to be very important. As I said, not much time, so they're running out of time. Rivlin right now says that he won't pick Netanyahu if these negotiations fail, but he's going to go directly to the Knesset. And then, as we've talked before, if the Knesset doesn't come up with a candidate or a government within 21 days, then Israel will go back to the fourth election. Now, this could be very dangerous for Netanyahu because, as we've discussed before, in this 21-day period, the actual Knesset can actually vote on legislation. And the threat from the blue and white is that they could bring up these anti-Bibi laws that would disqualify him from being prime minister. So it's a very pivotal time for Israel and certainly Benjamin Netanyahu right now.
So what is one of the major issues separating the two sides?
Well, one of the main points has been sovereignty, and that includes the West Bank, otherwise known as the biblical heartland of Israel, Judea and Samaria. Now, Gantz had wanted a veto that said that the next Israeli government cannot annex the West Bank or Judea and Samaria, and I should add the Jordan Valley, which is very important strategically. This is all part of the Trump peace plan, where it seems to give Israel the possibility of annexing Judea and Samaria and the Jordan Valley. And so this is a pivotal question. Right now, Gantz apparently won't veto that, but it's very important to many of these right-wing parties. In fact, there's reports that one of these right-wing parties actually may leave the government. That would allow Gantz and Netanyahu still, they have enough seats to form a government, but we'll see what happens.
Let's talk about the coronavirus for a second. What are the latest restrictions there in Israel and why?
Well, right now, there's a curfew that begins at 5 p.m. local time here in Israel. It's going to last till Thursday a.m. The reason for that, Ephraim, is because it's the end of Passover. And this is a time traditionally where people will go visit family members or friends and have a celebration of the end of Passover. But to prevent the spread of COVID-19, there's going to be 44 checkpoints on the cities preventing intercity travel, 9,000 officers. So it's an interesting aspect of what's happening. And one other point, Ephraim, is actually the bakeries won't open Wednesday night like they usually do. And that's when people go to the bakeries after 8 days of not eating any leavened bread. People want that bread, so they go right to the bakeries. Right now, those bakeries are probably going to open sometime Thursday morning.
All right. What are some of the ways Israel is looking to economically come out of this crisis?
Well, Ephraim, right now it's really tracking a lot with the U.S. They're trying to keep those at risk at home and slowly bring back the economy with, of course, as Lori's been talking about, that social distancing. We have to do that right now. We have to take our temperature when we come to work. We wear masks sometimes, all part of the new normal. But I think that's some of the aspects that Israelis are looking at to reopen and restart their economy.
So how do Israelis celebrate the ending of the Feast of Passover?
Well, tonight there's going to be a big meal for those families that can gather together. They won't be able to travel, like I said, from one family to another. This is an 8-day celebration. It began a number of days ago with the Seder meal, and then they can eat bread. But it's also a time of reading from the Word. They'll be reading from Deuteronomy and Isaiah, and they'll be reading the end of the Passover story when the Lord led the Israelites out of Egypt, out of their slavery and bondage, and then He led them by a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of cloud by day, all part of the biblical story here in Israel.
All right, Chris Mitchell reporting for us from Jerusalem. Thank you so much for your time, Chris. Still ahead, with schools closed down here in the United States, many parents have unexpectedly found themselves in a situation where they're overseeing or even responsible for their child's education. We're going to bring you a look at how parents can handle all of this new burden right after this. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
For many, it's been weeks since the COVID-19 pandemic shut down public and private schools across the country. Many parents are now forced to educate their children in a way they never imagined or planned. CBN's Heather Sells shows us how parents can make sure their children's education isn't suffering.
We're at war with a deadly virus.
President Trump's decision to extend social distancing guidelines will likely lead most states to close school through the end of this school year. States operating under stay-at-home orders have now interrupted education for at least 64,000 schools. That means for millions of public school students, they are now shifting to virtual learning. And that means their parents must oversee and even teach those lessons. Erin Weideman is a sought-after homeschool consultant, certified teacher, and nationally recognized speaker from San Diego. She says give yourself some grace as you face this new adventure.
As you start out and, you're, like I said, you're trying to juggle all of these things, is set some expectations. Call a family meeting and invite each individual family member to speak about what they would like this situation to be. You can use this time to review your family values and really allow those values and your faith to steady how you're going to move forward in this season. So it creates way less pushback. It gets every student in your classroom at home to buy in to the overarching theme, which is we're here to work together, we're here to be a family.
With the school year in question, Weideman advises parents to take this new virtual learning day by day.
So parents, I definitely want you to hold your schedule with an open hand and think of it more like an ebbing and flowing routine where you're going to put some parameters in place that you feel like will get you in a good rhythm, but then you're going to assess those rhythms daily and see what's not working and change it if necessary.
Additional resources are pouring out from homeschool experts and educators across the country right now. The Texas Homeschool Coalition has created a free website with actress and homeschool mom Sam Sorbo as a partner. She hopes it will provide encouragement.
I'm personally hopeful that this will convince a number of parents that they are actually adequate and equipped to teach their children. The website offers right now, we've got K-5 available for free. It's absolutely free. It's a full-on curriculum. It will guide your day. It's how to schedule your day, because I know there are a lot of parents who need that.
Some school districts are now considering summer school or starting the fall semester early to make up for lost learning. For now, Sorbo says she wants parents to know they are fully capable of successfully teaching their children.
We have to understand that God calls us to educate our children, but we are educated in a system that teaches us that we are inadequate. And that's why the number one pushback that I've experienced from parents is this idea, I couldn't, I don't know how. The reason that you feel that way is because that's what you were taught. You were taught that you can't do anything that you haven't been formally instructed on. And I'm here to tell you, not only can you, it's the most rewarding thing that you will do as a parent is to educate your children. And the relationship that you will be able to have with your children as a result of that is beyond your wildest dreams.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
Coming up, during these difficult and stressful times, a well-known Christian pastor and author is explaining how Christians can live free from fear and anxiety. We've got the story when we come back. Stay with us.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN.
the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
A Christian author, pastor Bishop Wellington Boone says Christians can live free from fear and anxiety during this coronavirus pandemic. He told CBN News' The Prayer Link program that we simply have to focus on God and His Word.
We have to ask ourselves, in terms of this matter of fearlessness, is the pandemic the thing that God is focused on? As a matter of fact, all the words that He gave to His disciples are still in effect. When He gave the Great Commission mandate to go into all the world to preach the gospel, He never changed it. He also said that these signs will follow them that believe. We got to stand on the veracity of the Scripture. This matter of being saved is not being saved, it's being sanctified. We carry an anointing and a power from God that changes circumstances.
Now you can watch more of Bishop Boone's interview on the Prayer Link. It begins at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time on the CBN News Channel. Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable. This is a message I hope will encourage you, and hopefully you'll post tag tweet and share it with those in your circle. We are better together. This is not the time to go it alone. It is time to lean on each other and to lean on our God. With that word, I encourage you to make today a terrific Tuesday. That is a wrap for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel, and you can find them there at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. Feel free to email us at the address on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, we're always available to talk on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Again, make it a terrific Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.